Welcome to Barn Banter, the podcast by Horse Illustrated. Each month, we bring guests to educate, entertain, or inspire you as you pursue the horsey lifestyle, plus an adoptable horse with a unique story. I'm Susan Friedland, an equestrian author, blogger, and speaker with a soft spot for off-track thoroughbreds. You can find me at my blog, saddleseekshorse.com, or on Facebook or Instagram at saddleseekshorse.
And I'm Holly Kakamis, editor-in-chief of Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazines. You can find us at horseillustrated.com, youngrider.com, and Horse Illustrated and Young Rider on Instagram and Facebook.
Holly, fall is here. I'm looking out my window as we record this, and the sun is shining, and the maple trees have red leaves on them, and my beverage of choice is crisp apple cider.
Oh, I love it. I'm so jealous of the leaves in California. They're just green until like December, January. So
yeah, but it's cold, so you get the warm weather. But sometimes I get a little nostalgic thinking about days of yore, and I remembered a really funny story about my early years of blogging at my website, Saddle Seeks Horse. I got an invitation to go to the LA Masters. It was a Longines sponsored Grand Prix show jumping event. Did you go to that in Los Angeles, downtown?
No, I never have been. No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, long story short, I got a media pass for another publication, and I was on the red carpet. And so all of these legendary riders, John Whitaker and other names that are escaping me at the moment, were going down the red carpet. And so I could ask a few questions of people. And someone I admire, show jumper and Olympian Beezy Madden, came down the red carpet. And I asked her, Beezy, if you weren't a Grand Prix show jumper, what would your career be? And it was so funny because she got almost a mortified look on her face, like she couldn't possibly fathom anything else. And then she quickly said, I would be a dressage rider. And so I just thought that was kind of cool. And
legend, but that's pretty funny. That's weaseling out a little bit to say oh yeah, just be a writer.
Yeah.
Of a different.
Yeah. No, I was I wanted her to say brain surgeon or
a teacher or whatever, something.
Yeah. So that was really funny. But it leads me to the question. I know you are an eventer, and right now you're a trail rider. But if you had to switch, should I do careers? No, I'm just going to do disciplines because I can't imagine you leaving the world of equine media. But if you were to switch disciplines as a rider, what would you want to try or do?
I've got to side with Beezy on this one. Eventer for life, # forever and ever. You'll have to pry my body out of the cross-country saddle. But I have always wanted to learn how to drive. So I feel like when I'm too old for jumping, or what, if that ever happens, I will start driving. And my dream is to have a miniature horse with a tiny, tiny little cart so that I don't have to learn how to drive a very big, strong horse. I feel like a mini, I could get in a tiny little cart and learn how to drive it. So that's kind of my weird dream that I would like to do.
May I ask, in your dream, what color is your perfect mini?
Oh, well, I love Appaloosa spots, and there are some minis with Appy spots, but there's just so many cute colors. They have all those, kind of grayish one. I just learned this from our breed profile. There's a color called mushroom that is only found in Shetlands and miniatures, not big horses.
Never heard of it. That's amazing.
It's kind of grayish brown. It's really cute, but it's just kind of a mini horse color. So I like that. I like spots. A lot of them are pinto. I think that's cute, but it is a lot of work to keep them clean. So yeah, I do like my brown horses because they are easier to groom, but I just think minis are so cute, and they can be a little naughty, but they're so small. How about you? I know you've done a lot. You've done dressage mostly lately, but you're also a past fox hunter. What else are you interested in?
And in January of this year, I did a mounted archery clinic. That was really cool.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that would be my thing. I would like to try it again because it was very much like when you're patting your head and like, take your hand.
Yeah,
and
that sounds too hard. I don't have the coordination. That's crazy.
But and then several years before that, I got to ride in a mounted shooting clinic, which I am not a gun girl by any means. I did not grow up as an outdoors woman, but, it was so fun. And you're shooting balloons. It was just so loud. It kind of like was unsettling at first. And again, as a beginner, just for one day at the clinic, it's not like I was galloping through and, Jesse James destroying all the balloons. But I did hit a lot of the balloons at a walk and at a very slow jog.
That's okay.
But that was intriguing. But I don't know. Also driving is kind of fascinating to me. I learned how to ground drive my horse to kind of help him build up his top line. And I have great respect for people who drive because if it's that difficult just walking behind them.
I know. Yeah. I have never, ever driven a horse, which is kind of crazy because I've been around horses for like 40 years and I have never once had the opportunity to pick up the reins of a, driving horse. So it's just something completely different, I guess, is why it seems like a challenge, but not like, if you say mounted archery, I'm just like, oh no, the ship has sailed for that one. It's something I could maybe learn, so it sounds cool.
Well, so I know where you can drive.
Oh,
this
where?
Is kind of nerdy. Did you read any of the Little House books growing up?
No.
Oh, Little House on the Prairie.
Horses. There's a lot of horses.
I mean, how else did they go to where they went with their covered wagons? But
I was into the Babysitter's Club and all the horse books. Well, that took up all my time.
There's still time for you to capture the joy of Laura Ingalls Wilder stories. But there's a place in De Smet, South Dakota, many years ago when my niece was young, a little girl. We went to, it was one of the homesteads where the Ingalls family lived, and they had a sod house, which was really cool because it's a house that is underground. And the other thing was there was a little schoolhouse, like a one-room schoolhouse, and they did this whole reenactment thing as though you were a student. And so you got to ride the covered wagon to go to the schoolhouse. And then they did like a simulated lesson. You got to wear a bonnet. But all that to say, as we were driving in the covered wagon to the school, they gave the reins to my niece, who was probably about 6 or 7 at the time. So she got to drive.
That is so cool.
It was really sweet. But also, you can drive a draft. Our episode this time around is about Equine Affaire, and we're going to have a conversation in a minute with Kogi, who is
Massachusetts this November. Start making plans.
But speaking of shows, I know you recently had a chance to see a pretty spectacular equine extravaganza close to home there in Temecula. Maybe you want to share a little bit about
Temecula, California. I would love to share about that. It was just this past Sunday. I went to see Cirque Maceo, which is part of the Cavalia brand of, theatrical circus equestrian performances. There was a girl doing like the silks that like got off the horse onto the silk, and I don't even want to give away. There's like a fire spinning person, there's vaulting, there's Roman riding, all the stuff. And then there's also, speaking of miniature horses, again, I don't want to give too much away, but he was like the most comical scene with a horse I've ever seen. And supposedly all his behavior is like completely natural. They didn't even have to train him because he just had such a personality. But that was one of my favorite parts too. But anyway, it is called Cirque Maceo. It's MA''CEO. And so their website is cirquemaceo.com without the apostrophe. And there are still shows, a couple more left on this leg of the tour before a 2-month break. So they are in Temecula in October, and then they go to Kingman, Arizona through November 2nd, and Prescott, Arizona, November 7 through 16. So if you hear this early in November and you live near Arizona, I highly recommend. And then they will do an East Coast leg after their break. If you're on the East Coast, we will talk more about that later. So anyways, it was amazing. Loved it.
We should get someone from the show on for a future
episode. That is my plan, because I talked to the creator of the show afterward. They gave me a little backstage tour. They put my son up on the Frisian, who is the star of the show. He's retiring soon, but he is just the most beautiful black Frisian with just that stallion presence. They have a lot of stallions in their show. No mares, geldings and stallions. And this Andalusian, that was like dark steel gray with dapples, absolutely gorgeous horse. Just so many different breeds. They have Akeltekis, they have quarter horse, they have everything. So anyways, definitely go see it if you can. We'll have more info on the East Coast tour. And I have one more quick thing to plug before we move on, and that is the Horse Illustrated Reader's Choice Awards. We would love to get as many of you to vote for your favorite things as possible in our Reader's Choice Awards.
Barn Banter.
Yes. And one lucky entrant will receive a $250 Visa gift card. So there's a good incentive. Just go to horseillustrated.com/2026-readers-choice to vote. And that's it. That's all I got.
That's cool. Well, I want to say a few more things about Equine Affaire. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think I mentioned on the show that I was a speaker at the one in Ohio in the spring, and I am going to be speaking this time around. Also, I've got 2 presentations, one on Thursday, one on Friday. One of them is about how to go to Chincoteague Island to see the famous wild pony swim whether in person or if you want to try to capture the flavor of it from afar virtually. And the other one is about the writing life of Marguerite Henry and her relationship with Misty of Chincoteague. I will also have a booth in the Better Living building. It's booth 414. And so I just am looking forward to meeting listeners, looking forward to meeting readers, fellow Misty fans, horse lovers. It's always such a feel-good opportunity. And I'm thrilled that we have a chance to speak with Kogi, who is kind of the person that makes it all happen, along with a number of, very dedicated staff. But it is just such a wonderful time. And I know there's a lot that goes into it. And I think our listeners are going to really enjoy this episode.
Awesome. Well, with all that said, here is our interview with Kogi.
For special rates on Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazine subscriptions just for our podcast listeners, visit horseillustrated.com/barnbanter.
Kogi, we are so delighted to have you here and talk all things Equine Affaire on Barn Banter. How are you doing this fine fall day? And are you super busy because you've got big plans in the works for the event next month? Well, this month as listeners hear this.
Yes. Equine Affaire is just around the corner. So all of our staff at the office is definitely busy wrapping up the final details, trying to make sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and things are packed accordingly. So yes, it's busy times, but it's also great time to connect with everybody as well.
So I have all kinds of questions about Equine Affaire, but I want to kind of start out just getting to know you a little bit more. We actually met at Equine Affaire in Ohio, I think it was, and I found out you're a dressage rider, and I'm an aspiring dressage rider. So I would just love to know more about your horsey background, if you were the only one in your family, or if it's been kind of a generational thing. So just help us get to know you a little better.
Sure. Well, I actually grew up in northern Michigan, actually in Traverse City, where the showgrounds are now currently. I used to ride in those fields, taking lessons. So that was kind of a full circle fun thing as an adult, coming back to that, seeing those showgrounds really come into fruition. But I grew up riding Norwegian fjords, actually. My family had a cider mill, and we used the fjords to power the cider mill. My dad had engineered kind of like a wooden wheel, similar to a water wheel, that helped the horses turn the wheel and that in turn went through a series of gears and lowered and raised the cider press in the fall. So in the fall, I was walking horses to make cider, but the rest of the year I was riding horses, either in the pasture or on the trails or things like that. It was kind of middle school when I really kind of got interested into dressage and kind of started to hone in on that a little bit. Still with my fjord. I rode my fjord through high school, and we didn't do upper level stuff, but we made it through the lower levels and had some fun that way. I went to the University of Findlay with a double major in equine studies and business administration, and kind of knew I wanted to be in the horse field in some capacity, but wasn't totally set on exactly what I want to do. I was kind of leaning toward the education realm, but wasn't sure that I really wanted to train on a daily basis. And as a senior, I basically found the job post for Equine Affaire. So that's kind of where I started. Started in the marketing department for Equine Affaire, fresh out of college. And unlike a lot of people, I've kind of stuck with one company for my career and gone from the bottom all the way through, and now I'm steering the ship. So,
okay, that's amazing. I want to back up because I'm a little obsessed with the idea of riding a Norwegian fjord. So last year, I had never been to a dressage show until like just a year or two ago. I've been to, watch a lot of 3-day eventing and obviously 100 jumper shows. And I saw this woman riding a fjord, and he was doing tempi changes. And at first I just saw them. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a cute pony. And then he got in the ring and he was doing all this very fancy stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. So maybe for people like me listening who haven't had much exposure to the breed, maybe you can give us a little insight into what they're like and what you're...
Yeah. Sure. I guess most people think of them kind of as a small draft horse. So they're depending on the lines. Some lines are a little more refined than others, as you have with any breed. It kind of depends. My family had two, as I was growing up primarily, and, they were a little on the larger side of Norwegian fjords in terms of being more around the 14-2 hand range. So they're definitely very personable, very gentle, very hardy, strong necks. As a young girl, learning to steer them was a little more of a challenge. If they really wanted to go one way, they would go that way. But for the most part, they were just a really solid horse growing up. Maybe dressage wasn't exactly easy for mine, but he gave it his all and tried to do whatever we asked. So it was fun.
Love that. And so today you still ride, and I'm assuming not in Norwegian fjords. So maybe can you introduce us to your current mounts?
Sure. So I always also had an affinity for warm bloods. So I currently have 2 Oldenburgs and a Dutch warm blood. All of them kind of going in the dressage vein, you might say. Showing my mare, chestnut mare, in 4th level this summer, and hoping that we'll make the jump up to Prix St. George here in the winter circuit, and have kind of a schoolmaster, who's about 11 or 12 that we're kind of working on the upper level stuff. And, I have a 4-year-old that's just starting out. So started her this summer. So kind of a little bit of everything across the board, you might say.
Well, it sounds like you're very immersed in all things horses, from your day job to
Yes.
the riding and all that. So let's transition to Equine Affaire. For people who've never been, I'm sure people have heard of it or seen ads or seen social media posts. Maybe just kind of paint a broad picture for us of what it is and get a feel for the vibe and some of the experiences that attendees can witness.
Sure. So Equine Affaire is a 4-day horse expo, and really our goal is to bring together the equine community in a whole, the industry as a whole. So we're catering to all breeds, all disciplines, and really trying to bring people into kind of an educational setting, and combine that with an extravagant trade show and We do have a few competitions that are just kind of fun, things to do, fun to watch. And then top things off with a little bit of entertainment and Fantasia. So we kind of have things for the novice, new to horses person, all the way up through the professionals. It's kind of fun to see a lot of the professionals, even some of our clinicians that we bring in, watching other disciplines, other clinicians, and kind of taking bits and pieces and taking that back home with them and trying to apply it to what they're doing in their own realm. So there's a lot of collaboration, a lot of networking, and just a lot of opportunities to have access to some of the professionals in the industry that you wouldn't necessarily be able to go see or talk to or hang out with on a day-to-day basis.
Had you attended Equine Affaire before you got the marketing job out of college? Or?
I had, yes. Growing up, I had the opportunity to go a couple times. And I just remember my first time kind of walking through the doors and saying, wow, it's a lot to take in. But really it's just kind of a wonderland for horse people where they can shop for anything and everything that you could need for your horse, for you, for the farm, for the barn, or things that you don't even know might have been possible. We try to feature new products and things like that, as they're debuting as well. And then just being able to really see the different levels of training and the different approaches and meeting all the horses up close and personal, walking through the barns and just saying, oh, would I like one like that? Or, oh, this one looks even better. What about this kind? And learning about the different breeds and what makes them unique. And I've been with the company for quite a few years now, but there's still always something new that kind of sparks that interest.
Yeah, I feel like going to events such as Equine Affaire, it's kind of affirming because in my daily life, I feel like the weird horse girl a little bit, except for when I'm at the farm or riding and that. And so when you go to an event like that and there's thousands of people, it's just like, okay, these are my people. I don't know them. They may be walking around in different gear and have different tack, but they're my people and I get them and they probably will get me too. So it's kind of a very, just exciting. And I'm more of an introverted person, but it's, if you see someone, oh, I love those breeches, or, I went over and talked, in Ohio, pardon me, I can't remember the exact name of it, but there were like all these donkeys in a donkey area.
Donkey extravaganza. Yes.
And so I just had to go over there because donkeys, they're so cute and their ears are so long and fuzzy. And so it's just, I feel like there's a lot of joy.
There is. Yes. It's a very, very positive environment and everybody comes because they have a similar passion for the horse and they're there to either learn or to showcase their horse or just be a part of everything coming together.
So what would you say are some of the unique, I don't want to use the word show, but features or unique demonstrations this year that people will really enjoy and want to get involved with?
Sure. Well, as you just mentioned, donkeys that we had in Ohio, we are going to do a donkey extravaganza in Massachusetts here. So that will be fun to share that with our New England crowd. We will have Drive a Draft, which is an interactive activity. We featured it several years now at both of our events, and it's just a real highlight for the attendees to be able to actually put their hands on the reins of a single draft horse or a pair of draft horses and learn how to ground drive. It's just an amazing experience. It comes as part of your admission. You just have to sign up with the Whispery Pines Percherons, but that's definitely a highlight. We will have a couple of our different competitions. The Versatile Horse and Rider competition, which is sponsored by Chewy, is an obstacle course that's also timed against the clock. So your goal is to efficiently complete the different obstacles with a good time, and we'll crown the winners in the order of their completion there. We always have a new course each year and new obstacles that horses and riders haven't seen before. So it's always kind of a fun time to help them through it. Our breed bonanza was something that we debuted last year, and that is an all breed, all discipline rail class. And that was just fun, where we're basically looking for the cream of the crop, where we're putting all the different disciplines, all the different breeds together. And we have a panel of 3 different judges that will score each entrant as they demonstrate their different gaits along the rail. And we kind of pin that class. So it's just fun to see everybody really showcasing their best horses, their best turnout, and their best performances, and putting it into a fun little class that way.
Last year, I think I heard that you may have gone home with more equines in your family than you.
Well, that may have happened, yes. We did, as part of our event, we have an adoption affair. And work closely with the ASPCA and several different rescue associations. And there happened to be 2 retired circus ponies at our Ohio event. And they were 27 and 28 years old. And my husband's been asking for a pony for a while. Usually it's the wife that's asking the husband for more horses. But in this case, he was asking for a pony for his mare that kind of wanted a buddy. And we came across the 2 ponies and kind of fell in love and said, you know what, they can come retire at our farm. So they continue to do well, and they're just little bundles of joy that we enjoy seeing every day.
And so did your husband's mare readily accept her new?
She was happy to see them. Yes.
Okay. Like that
yes,
could go one
was.
of 2 ways there. But
right. Yes. No, she loves pretty much everybody. So.
Aww. And I have to pause for a moment because I've heard a lot of horse sentences in my life, and I don't think I've ever heard the sentence of my husband was asking for a pony.
No, not usually, right?
That's amazing. So this may be a weird question because you've been working Equine Affaire, but have you ever had a chance to ride or be a part of any of the, presentations and that?
Well, actually, when I was in college, I did participate in one of the Ride with a Pro clinics, one of the dressage clinics, when Nicole Theodorescu was in, Ohio. And so that was a fun opportunity. Last year in Massachusetts, I had the opportunity to ride in the wagon with the Whispery Pines, for one of the opening acts. So that was kind of fun too. So occasionally I'll jump in there, when something presents itself, but I kind of also enjoy seeing everybody else really enjoy the showcase and putting themselves in the spotlight. That's just fun for me to watch too.
Yeah. Have you noticed maybe over the last, 5 years or so, are there certain breeds or disciplines or events that are becoming really popular and that people they're really eager to know more about?
Well, I think we've kind of seen the Western lifestyle emerging a little bit more throughout the country, or being embraced more throughout the country. I think part of that lends itself to the TV shows that have been produced over the last few years. So we're definitely seeing the Western disciplines growing. I would say ranch riding is definitely becoming very popular in both the Midwest and on the East Coast. Liberty also is growing in popularity in terms of what you can do without a bridle, without a saddle, and just you and the horse in the ring. As far as breeds go, I would have to say I think some of your Spanish breeds have been growing a little bit. And I also think the quarter horses are kind of really kind of coming back into the limelight. They never disappeared, but I feel like they're kind of resurging a bit too.
Oh, that's really interesting. And are you able to share with us any of the clinicians or maybe personalities people can learn from in Massachusetts?
Sure. We have a fun lineup with a lot of variety in it. So some of our general trainers this year will include Cole Cameron. So he is the son of Craig Cameron from out west in New Mexico, and he will be doing colt starting, some ranch riding, and roping for us. Ken McNabb, most of us have probably heard of him at this point, but he is kind of our general horsemanship, and he's also going to do some cow work for us. So we're going to bring live cows to the Massachusetts event this year. on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have Jason Irwin, who really caters to both English and Western riders. And he'll also do some trailer loading for us. So that will be, that's always interesting. Luke Rainbold will also do some kind of general horsemanship type topics, as well as a little bit of cow work. Gabby Reuter, who is from Chile, is our hunter jumper, well, actually more of our jumper clinician for this year, and really an interesting up and coming professional who not only excels in the jumping ring, but also is very proficient in marketing. So she has a lot to share with us. We'll have Vitor Silva with some classical dressage, Phyllis Dawson for eventing, Luke Gingrich for liberty and reining and Western dressage, and lots of others. So
do you have any tips for first timers?
Ideally plan it out a little bit, but also leave yourself room for the extras that you don't know what you're going to stumble across. So if you're interested in educational program, I would look at the schedule in advance and try and see, okay, which sessions do you really want to see, or what are your must-dos? And then plan for shopping time, because there's lots to see, lots to explore, lots to find. Most people always want to see the horses. And then definitely I wouldn't miss Fantasia at night, just because that's a fun time and really something that's special when you turn the lights down low, put the spotlights on, and put the music to it.
Okay, I want to tell Holly and our listeners about my Fantasia moment last year. Okay, so I'm blown away, seeing, I just recently went to Medieval Times near me, and I've seen, like the Cavalia shows and that. So I'm just blown away when I see people like performing. And so I don't recall who it was, but there was a dressage rider last year, and she had kind of like hip hop rap going, and was doing like the, one tempi changes and like not even holding the reins. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a mere mortal. I'm a mere mortal when it comes to riding. Like I can't do that with reins.
No, I get it. Yes. That was Lauren Samus, and she did a fabulous job. Really just not something you would expect a dressage rider to pull out and just make it all fun and games. And she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. And then I think there were some trick riders that, they say like, I was on the edge of my seat. I really was. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like diving underneath the horse, galloping in a circle. And they're,
yes, I know.
Oh my goodness. So I don't know. Maybe, can you speak a little, we don't want to give away all the good stuff, but what types of acts would people be able to see at Fantasia this year?
Sure. It's going to be another fun one. We're going to have anything from chariots to jousting to reining, some trick riding, as you mentioned. We're going to have a pas de deux, a Grand Prix pas de deux. So that'll be fun. And we're going to have kind of a wedding themed drill team. So, lots of variety, and we might even be bringing in, some border collie agility with the horses. So, it's going to be a fun one.
Okay. I'm in agility.
Right.
I always joke. So my sister rides also, and she's leasing a Lipizzan right now that was trained at Temple Farm. So like the horse knows how to do fancy things.
Sure.
My sister doesn't. But so we kind of joke around like we're going to do a pas de deux, me and my off-track thoroughbred and her on the Lipizzan. And it's a pipe dream, I understand, but it's still fun to think about. So I'll try to catch the show, get some videos, share it with her. It'll be very inspirational for 2026.
There we go.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so what would you say is your favorite part of Equine Affaire as an organizer?
I think really seeing it all come together. Like we plan obviously more than a year in advance, sometimes more than that, like more than 2 years, depending on what parts and pieces it is. But really seeing it all come together and knowing that we have a phenomenal team that makes it all happen. With an event that is large scale, it's not something you can do by yourself. So, really rely on all of our essential team members, whether it's corporate office, full-time employees, or our contract staff or the volunteers. It really takes everybody to make it happen. But when everybody's working together and for the same cause and knows what the reward is, that's the true icing on the cake is really seeing everybody enjoy the fruits of everybody else's labor.
And do you ever get feedback from attendees, or do you get to hear like what their favorite parts are and stuff like that?
Sure. Yes, we do. We really actually like to hear the feedback just so that we're designing these events for the enjoyment of people, and we want them to want to come to our events. So, we're always trying to gather feedback. What do people like? What would they like to see in the future? That kind of a thing. And, some people say, oh, keep doing what you're doing. And other people have some ideas or feedback. But a lot of people really just make sure they put it on their calendar every year and have made it more of an annual tradition. So that's fun to see everybody coming back and the new faces too, for their first time, the eyes lighting up as they come through the gate or through the building and say, oh, wow.
I feel like I met last year in Massachusetts. I feel like I met friends that weren't from Massachusetts that were horse friends and they lived in other states, but then they like met up there. That was like their rendezvous point to just experience the weekend together and just have a fun, horse girls kind of getaway. So I thought that was really cool.
Yes, exactly. I think a lot of people, it is kind of like their annual meetup.
That's cool. Well, I would love for Holly to join us. She's on the other end of the country, but
someday.
Yes, that is true.
Well, I was lucky to attend when I lived in Kentucky, which is a lot closer than Southern California. So,
yes,
but I think it's great. It's amazing. I mean, it's been over 10 years, but it was just so huge. And, my wallet was like, what are you doing to me? Like, the shopping is just so amazing. And that was before the adoption barn. I'm sure I would have come home with a horse somehow. But it was amazing. And I love the Fantasia show in the evening. And I actually won like a raffle for something like a year's supply of dewormer. But, I was like, wow, there's hundreds of people here. It's not thousands of people here. And I actually got to win the raffle. So that was super fun. And I just have a lot of good memories of it. So I recommend it to anyone. There's always so many good presenters and demos. I'm like, I have to be so far away. But yeah, I would love to come and see it again.
So another question as we're kind of winding down here, have there been any standout moments or maybe memorable surprises over the years? Like, I will never forget the rider holding her arms out, doing the, having the rap music, doing the tempi changes and that. But like, are there any other moments that just stand out to you from, you've been to so many of them?
A great question. I think each one kind of has its own feel, own vibe. I think it's a lot of fun when a couple of times we've been able to put a couple of different presenters together and have them kind of co-present. We did that in Massachusetts with Jeff Cook and Tick Maynard a few years ago. And it was kind of a little bit of an impromptu. We had one scheduled, but the other one kind of said, hey, can we do this together? And so we said, sure, why not? And then that was actually one of the really neat sessions where you were getting bits and pieces from the different disciplines, in the session and seeing the riders respond to that. So that's always fun. I think seeing some of the versatile horse and rider competition is always interesting to see how people approach, different questions for obstacles or horsemanship and how they can demonstrate their partnership with their horse. I mean, we've had mules do it. We've had horses do it. We've had draft horses. We've had ponies. So you never know who's going to be in the ring, but seeing all of them take their own take on it. And there are certain, obstacles that certain types of horses are going to excel at. So maybe it's a Western horse that's going to excel at one thing, but then your English horse is going to do better over the jumps. So, just seeing the balance of that is always fun too. And I do have to say Fantasia is kind of a highlight for me. I enjoy the theatrical side of it, with the music and the performers and really just kind of creating magic.
I just remembered another Fantasia thing that I saw that I was very impressed with, especially my background is in middle school education. There was a troupe with, I think they were minis, and the handlers were all on foot and they were doing things. And I just thought like that would require a lot of practice and just personalities of kids, just like that is not for the faint of heart. They were lovely and it was so adorable. And I just remember thinking, man, they must be getting a great step count in.
Yes, they definitely got their workout. That was the mini doves. And that is just a neat group. And you kind of think about the experiences that those kids, are having or have had and how that will shape them in the future. They'll reflect on that and say, oh, wow, do you remember when we did that? And, but that's kind of the fun of putting it all together. We can do different things and, give different people different opportunities to really be part of it.
If someone lives too far away or, the season of life they can't attend, is there a way they can still sort of get a little taste of Equine Affaire from social media, or what would you recommend?
I would definitely recommend social media. We'll be posting as much as we can, as we're on site there. We'll also probably have daily email e-flyers with a recap of what happened today, what's happening tomorrow, that kind of a thing. So you can still feel like you're part of it. Unfortunately, we do not have live streaming per se. But as we'd really like to see everybody there, just, enjoying the thick of it, you might say, but social media is probably your best bet if you can't actually be there.
And that would be just, Equine Affaire with the E at the end of affair.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, Instagram, and are you on other platforms too?
Primarily Facebook, Instagram, a little bit of Twitter and, TikTok.
Oh.
A little bit.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I don't know, Holly, did you have any final thoughts or questions before we part ways with Kogi? Because she probably has a lot of work to do to get things ready for the weekend.
No, I just wanted to say thanks again, because yes, I'm sure this is your super busy season, and just give us again like the dates and location so everyone can like nail down their plans as soon as they hear this and make sure if they're within range that they are there.
We will be at the Eastern States Exposition in West Springfield, Massachusetts on November 6th through the 9th. So it's coming up, but we'd love to see everybody there. It's going to be a fantastic time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Our next guest joining me today to talk about our adoptable horses, we have more than one, is Simon Dunionville, and he is Executive Director of Healing Heroes Through Horses. And I'm going to talk more about your organization after we discuss the horses, because it certainly sounds intriguing and I want to know more about it. But tell us who you've got new to your organization. And I believe we have 3 mares. Is that right?
That's correct. We have 3 wonderful mares that have all been brood mares for the past couple of years. They come out of Rancho San Miguel, which is in SLO County in California. Yeah, we have Win Often Winnie, we have Sweetheart, and we have Virulente.
Okay, and are they all rideable? What kind of a job are they suited for so far as you can tell? I know they're fairly new. What have you learned about their future prospects?
Well, all of them, I think, are going to be able to be used for pretty much any discipline. Win Often has been with us a little bit longer than the other 2. I think she's been with us for about 60 days now. She's a lovely mare, and she's doing very well in the saddle. I think she had 3 foals, which means she's been off for 4 or 5 years. So bringing her back into work and getting her prepared for her next chapter has been fun. I think she's going to be a really nice, quiet trail horse, or a horse that's she's not going to be suited to a highly competitive discipline, but she's going to make somebody very, very happy in terms of she's a very loving horse and she's pretty talented. She definitely lets people know what she's prepared to accept and not. Nevertheless, she's a wonderful horse, and she's just stolen all of our hearts here at the ranch. We have Sweetheart, who's 7 years old. She's 16-1. She's a bay. She had 3 starts, and they found that racing was not for her, so they retired her to become a broodmare. She's super calm and willing. We believe that she's going to excel as a hunter jumper. It's still early days. They've been with us for less than 30 days, but we have started them under saddle. We started her under saddle. First Sir Single went on last week, long lining, and then this week we put saddle and more long lining. So we're hoping to next week put our rider on her and see how that goes. But she's very big, athletically built. And like I said, we believe that she's going to do very, very well in the hunter-jumper realm. Then we have Virulente. We've renamed her Violet. She's 6 years old, 15-3. She had 9 starts and an impressive 5 podium finishes. She was born in France to an Irish sire and dam. She's had 2 foals. Just like Sweetheart, she arrived at the same time as Sweetheart, so we're taking it slow and getting her ready for our rider. And again, we've just, we've been doing a lot of groundwork, desensitizing, just letting her down, and enabling her to settle in her new environment. But the same as Sweetheart, we are hoping to put a rider on her next week, but she has been through all the desensitization, the groundwork, and we've got her on long lines already. And next week, like I said, we should put our rider on. So we should have some more news on those 2 in the next few weeks. But yeah, all beautiful, beautiful horses. And it's for us, this is a new venture. We've generally stuck with geldings, just because of the needs of our program, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So we've actually just started taking mares on, particularly brood mares, to try and help our partner at Rancho San Miguel in rehoming these horses and finding a new purpose for them. But yeah, I think that's what I can say right now on these 3.
And I should say they're all beautiful bays, that classic thoroughbred look. They all look shiny and just healthy. And, I love a bay thoroughbred. It's like my favorite thing. So they all have that classic look. And I love that they are all, young. We've got 6, 7, and 8 years old, ready for a next career. They all sound like they've been through the good, desensitization and various levels of, thoroughbreds, like any horse, have various energy levels. Some are more, suited for the trail life or the show ring. And you've got a little bit of everything here, which I love to see. And we also like to promote that third career, a horse that comes off the track and goes to be a broodmare. Sometimes that's not the career for them, but they've now seen and done kind of everything. So, starting another career, they're kind of like, okay, I'm used to going with the flow. I think people think, oh, well, a thoroughbred's going to be, high strung, but I feel like these horses off the track, they've had time to let down. They've, been broodmares, so they're probably a little more chill than what people are maybe expecting. But, they have all different personalities, and I encourage people that might be interested to go check them out. You said you are in San Luis Obispo, or whereabouts is the ranch? Because I'm also in California, so I'm probably familiar with the area.
Yes, we're in San Luis Obispo, Arroyo Grande.
Okay, and that is an absolutely beautiful area, so I recommend taking a couple days of vacation.
Yes, we're supposed to have the best weather in the whole country.
Yes, I agree. And wine, got everything. Horses, fantastic spot. And then, so I'd like to talk about Healing Heroes Through Horsemanship, your organization. I'm not as familiar with this one. Can you tell us what you do, the size of it, how many animals are there, all that kind of stuff?
Sure. So Healing Heroes Through Horsemanship was established about 3 years ago. And what we aim to do is we've got two parts to the organization. One is education. It's a vocational program. It's a horsemanship educational vocational program. And what we do is we train at-risk veterans how to care for and look after horses. And all of the horses in our barn are off-the-track thoroughbreds. So these the students are able to learn on horses that kind of keep them on their toes. We're not your average therapy. We don't have average therapeutic riding horses or anything like that. All of our work is ground-based. So any horses that come into our program, we do the retraining, and we're a retrain rehome program. So horses are generally sent to us that come straight off the track, or like this new instance, broodmares coming from ranches, breeding ranches. So the horses come into us, we do all the groundwork, and the veterans get to assist me as the head trainer in retraining these horses. So that means all sorts of desensitization, obstacle work, training of pressure, whatever the horses are in need of, they tell us what they need before we put the rider on. And also whilst the rider is training, we're able to pick up little issues that they do have and work through those. So we actually certify the veterans that come through our course. It is a 12-week course, and they get certified as professional grooms, assistant barn managers, ranch managers, all depending on their skill sets and what they're looking to do as a second career. And it actually ties in quite nicely with, the horses are on the track, they run, they're very job specific, they're trained to be athletes. And once they're finished, they kind of get cast aside. And the same kind of goes for the veterans transitioning from military to civilian lifestyle is quite challenging for some of them. And so we see a lot of parallels and correlations with the horses and the veterans working side by side in preparing not only the veterans for a second career, but the horses too.
Wow. Well, I hear a story there. My wheels are already turning. I think this is exactly the kind of story that Horse Illustrated readers love to learn about. I just love when, horses and the people that need them can come together and help each other. It's always, heartwarming to hear about. And especially being a newer organization, I think it'd be great to, get the word out. So I'm glad we talked to you today. And thank you for your time today, Simon. Good to talk to you.
Thank you so very much, Holly. Appreciate it.
Don't be shy. Show us some barn banter love by leaving a review, and you can tell all your friends too.